2:03 in the code.
It's a few minutes after 3. I'm going to call the Board of Directors meeting to order of Trinity Metro. The first order of business is the Pledge of Allegiance, and if Ben would lead us in the pledge, I would appreciate it.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, citizen comments. Do we have any cards today, or anyone would like to chit-chat for a few minutes before the board?
I did not receive any cards.
We have no cards, and I don't see anyone that is willing to come up. So we'll close that part of the meeting, and instead of the meeting minutes approval, we have a new member from Tarrant County, actually from Grapevine. Michael Oakley was appointed by the county recently, and we'd like to swear Mr. Oakley in and then have him make a few comments, at least 10 minutes, about why he'd like to be on the Trinity.
Because I knew that was going to happen.
Would you please come over here and be sworn in, Mr.
Yes.
Oakley? Joel?
Right there's fine. I state your name.
I, Michael Oakley,
Do solemnly affirm that I will
do solemnly affirm that I will
faithfully execute the duties of the office
faithfully execute the duties of the office
of the Board of Directors
of the Board of Directors
of the Fort Worth Transportation Authority
Fort Worth Transportation Authority
of the State of Texas,
of the state of Texas,
and will, to the best of my ability,
and will, to the best of my ability,
preserve, protect, and defend
preserve, protect, and defend
the Constitution and the laws
the Constitution and the laws
of the United States
of the United States
and of this state, so help me God.
and of this state, so help me God. Thank you, sir.
No, you have to start now. Well, speaking of the 10 minutes, how about taking 30 seconds and just telling us a little bit about yourself and your background in the military would be very interesting.
So I spent 30 years in the Navy as a photographer and a search and rescue guy. We had a school picture business we were in Collin County. We worked in Collin County, but ran it out of Grapevine for 20 years. I retired in 18, and that lasted 6 weeks. And then some friends of mine in California called and asked me to help out in Texas for a little while, for maybe 4 or 5 weeks, and I'm still there. So,
Bill, welcome.
thank you.
Yeah. And what is your interest in transit? Just being a friend of the judge, or
Well,
does that sound familiar?
yeah, exactly. No, actually, my interest in transit, I'm on the Convention and Visitors Bureau Board in Grapevine. And my interest in transit is the contribution that transit can make to us growing our Convention and Visitors Bureau business. I don't know if anybody here is from Grapevine or spends any time over there, but we major in quaint. And we're actually quite successful at bringing business into the city. But we need to do two things. We need to bring people into work at all these venues, because we don't have that labor pool in Grapevine. And the second thing is, we have a lot of wine festivals, a lot of things where we would like people to come and participate and not necessarily get in the car and drive home. So
And it's your answer.
that's it.
Well, welcome. We have a lot to chat about.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I'd like to highlight, Mike, you rode the train down to this meeting, didn't you?
We did. Yeah, no. We're like, how did the education started? And it was a great experience, by the way.
Good.
So we'll move on to the minutes. If you've had an opportunity to review the August 18 minutes, I'll accept a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. We have some informal reports. You'll see we've slimmed down the agenda a little bit. I think it's really a great idea, so we can talk about things that we'd really like to talk about. And the first item is the TexRail and TRA ridership, which I think we always want to hear about.
Good afternoon, board members. My name is Brad Beeson. I'm manager of rail operations here at Trinity Metro. If you want to turn to page 8 in your packet. TexRail's ridership continues to increase, as you can see, for the month of August. We had a ridership just above 73,000 riders last month, which is roughly an 11% increase over this time last year. TRE, if you go to page 9.
Okay.
Yeah. TRE also increased its ridership over the same time last year with just under 105,000 riders last month at an increase of 4.5%. On TexRail, 2 weeks ago, we had Great Fest, as our new board member was just saying. We are right now saying that we had approximately a 5,000 ridership boost because of Great Fest, which we greatly appreciate. Last month, we informed you of the new DFW North Station park and ride that we're working with DFW Airport, though it's still in its infancy stages, trying to get those workers to park there and ride in. They have come to us with the possibility of us offering extended parking at that location also. We're looking through contracts and everything right now of how that would happen and what we would have to do. That is something we are also working on to increase ridership from that station because we currently do not offer it there. The on-time performance of both railroads well exceeded its 98%. We did have a few bumps in the road there, but a few delays, but we have made up for everything when we were well over our on-time performance. Our rail safety continues to climb daily. Last month I told you we were over 7.5 years with it, but we are now at 2,812 days injury-free for our safety, which is phenomenal. And with that, I will take any questions that you may have.
Is there a longer-term plan for the airport's involvement in the delivery of rail services? And I'm specifically talking about Terminal B, where, first of all, at that terminal, exiting the terminal, it's a nightmare trying to find out where the station is. If you haven't seen it before, it's not easy to find, and you walk all the way to the end of Terminal B. And what I'm asking is, if we start an inquiry right now about what they might be able to do to enhance our riders' experience in that regard. And in the future, I know they're building like mad at the airport, and they're putting in roads. We probably need, in some longer-term way, to be thinking about how we're going to disembark people, engage people from Terminal B. If they could just start asking, because the last CEO they had never understood the relationship between what we're doing and the success of their business. So I'd like to begin that dialogue sooner rather than later.
Absolutely, and I know Nicole is not here. She's actually on vacation, but Nicole has come to me and said that something else they want to talk about is the possibility of a app or something that can go on their phones and more social media presence. And I think they see that more as with the World Cup coming, we know there's going to be people riding the trains both ways. So they want to see if there's a way they can increase their social media presence to help us.
And always do a better job.
Annette can add to the response. Annette Lindaros, Chief Strategy Officer.
I just want to add
Yes, absolutely. We are on that wavelength and actually had a date set to have our marketing team and their marketing team to discuss wayfinding at the airport, at our station there as well, because you're spot on to what our customers, our riders are saying. We've had to reschedule because the day that we selected actually ended up being the grand opening of the Silver Line. We had it booked in advance, and so we are hoping to get that in very quickly. But it's all hands on deck. We're going to look at it together and hopefully get this right, especially before World Cup.
We all are such advocates of TexRail being the great service that it is. But when they have the experience of exiting Terminal B or trying to exit Terminal B, they have no idea where they are, how to get anywhere. So let me encourage this dialogue to continue. And the airport has a lot of resources that they could open up to us, and together we might be able to find a solution. And I think, was that Ben over there talking about wayfinding?
Isaac, but I agree with him.
Yeah, so I spent 6 months trying to convince somebody to ride the train, and they came out of the Terminal B and they called me really mad. I can't find the train.
Yes, no, you're absolutely right. And we also noted that they're doing some construction, so the doors look different. So even if you visually have been through before, you come again because you don't go necessarily every day, and you're now suddenly turned around. So they're absolutely, we are going to get right on top of that. Okay. They're aware. I would say they're coming to the table with a spirit of trying to get this right.
I'm certainly not criticizing Trinity Metro. It's dealing with the airport, it's just a lot of effort that you have to go through to get anything done, especially wayfinding. So let's just, if you don't keep bugging them, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, I think that the parking, because they are experiencing some discomfort in terms of parking available for employees, has opened up an additional avenue to have those conversations, because now they really, really want to depend on Trinity Metro. And so I think that relationship is going to help in all these areas as well.
Maybe we can elevate the discussion to have a different way of entering the terminals. It's a number, but it's a good time to talk to them when they need our parking.
Agreed.
Yeah, Jeff, I think the opportunity for the airport is to incorporate, in addition to the short-term strategies, to get incorporated into a long-term master plan.
Yes.
Which could include new concourses or exits and entrances from the rail station. Those are capital-intensive projects, but if they're planned in advance, we see what's going on Terminal C right now. There's a substantial rebuilding of Terminal C. At some point, there will be a major rebuilding of Terminal B.
Spending billions of dollars.
Yeah, we need
just
to.
a little help here.
Yeah, we need to be in that plan.
Agreed.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Annette.
Anything else?
Thank you, Brad.
Annette hijacked me.
It's good duty, Brad. Reed, talk about public safety and security.
Yeah, I just want to recognize before Reed starts that board member John Hinojosa was kind enough to reach out a few weeks ago and said, in light of some news coming out of Charlotte, now might be the appropriate time to give the board an update on security. So this is an all things security and public safety presentation. So Reed, and thank you.
Good afternoon, Board of Directors. I'm Reed Lanham, Chief Operating Officer here at Trinity Metro. As Rich mentioned, the events in Charlotte earlier this month give us a stark reminder of what our frontline employees face every day, and we take that very seriously here at Trinity Metro. What I'm going to update you on are some of the programs and policies that we have in place currently, and I want to highlight the fact that these are things that have been ongoing and are being implemented well before the tragic events that happened earlier this month. We do a lot with a little here at Trinity Metro. We've got a very good team. I want to give a shout out to Kevin Hunt, our Director of Security. Kevin does a great job of managing our security forces. So you know, we do contract out the majority of our security to Allied. They in turn work alongside us with the police department here in Fort Worth to augment that security force. We've got a very beneficial relationship, very positive relationship going with the city of Fort Worth and the police department. We've had a regular cadence of meetings with the Chief Noakes, the prior chief, and we've already reached out to Chief Garcia's staff to set up that cadence moving forward, and that's been warmly received, I can say. So I'll get into the presentation. In 2023, coming out of COVID, the transit industry as a whole saw a massive uptick in operator assaults, in incident reporting, it seemed COVID did a number on us as a society, and we felt that very, very strongly in the transit world. In 2023, the FTA came out with some new updated policies and procedures and recommendations for implementation at transit agencies. These were the 5 main recommendations. What I've got color-coded here is in dark blue. These are things we already had in place or have in place currently. And then the light blue are items that we are implementing. I'm happy to report, last month we brought you the barrier door project that you guys passed with flying colors. That's going to be huge for the morale and safety of our operators on the street. I also am happy to report that tomorrow, the vendor who's providing the barrier doors will be on site to start the measurement process. Each bus is a little different. We've got a lot of different models, so they're going to basically have to custom make these things. We want to push them to get these in as quickly as possible, and the time frame right now looks like within 6 months we should have the fleet outfitted with the barrier doors. I'll continue to keep you guys updated on that progress as we move forward. The de-escalation is a training that we give all of our operators upon new hire, in their new hire orientation. That's something that prior to the events in Charlotte, it was earlier this year, we wanted to look at ongoing de-escalation training. Instead of just giving them some good solid training to begin with and then cutting them loose on the street, we want to make sure that we're reinforcing that to our employees. De-escalation has been proven to be a primary factor in reducing operator assaults and conflict. So we want to hammer that home with our employees as often as possible. We've enhanced the training to include some real-time reenacting. We bring the operators in, we park a bus at the HRP, that's our bus facility over on Lancaster, and we actually do some acting out of certain scenarios with them. Again, so these 5 recommendations with Trinity Metro, they were already in place, or they're being implemented or just implemented. Here's a couple of highlights of some of the security initiatives we have here at Trinity Metro. We already talked about the barrier doors and enhanced de-escalation training. We've mentioned our great relationship we have with Fort Worth PD. I would also mention with Grapevine and North Richland Hills, they provide a key component of security on our TexRail line. So there's a pool of officers from North Richland Hills, from the county, the sheriff's office, from Grapevine and Fort Worth that will pick up overtime shifts to provide security on our trains. And that's gone a long way in the success of TexRail, right? The safety that our passengers feel on board, along with our crews, is a credit to the men and women of those police departments. We also, Jessica Powers is here. She was very key in implementing our human trafficking training program. We try to get all of our drivers and employees through human trafficking training so that we can help cut down on what is a terrible epidemic across our nation right now. When we talk about physical security enhancements, over the past couple of years, we've been doing an analysis of our facilities and looking at where we can improve safety. Recently, at our bus facility, we've enhanced the fencing, right? We've closed gaps where we've seen some intruders come in. We've enacted some new policies for security awareness purposes. We're looking at shifting coverage to where we have a more comprehensive security presence there at the HRP when we see the majority of our incidents. A lot of this is data-driven, where we can respond, where we see an uptick in reporting. Here at HRP, I don't know if you've noticed, but we've implemented a new entry system, right? What's more secure. We've got a new badge access policy and program where there's new camera systems as well. So again, we're just trying to heighten that level of security and security awareness amongst our workforce. We do have a CSAE application that's available to everyone, employees and public alike, and that's for real-time reporting of security concerns or incidents. We get, Kevin could tell you, we get numerous daily reports that we're able to gather that information and respond quickly to. When we talk about our relationship with Fort Worth PD, they do provide us a transit officer. We give them a vehicle, and that off-duty police officer responds to any type of incident or threat across the entire system. And that supplements our mobile allied security patrol as well. We coordinate with the TSA and their VIPER teams. That's an acronym for Visible Intermodal Prevention and Response Teams. You'll be seeing them out on our trains and our system much more frequently moving forward. We've met with them and gotten their buy-in to again add an additional layer of observation and support for our transit network. I mentioned the mobile security patrols that we have. They go to all of our rail stations from DFW, well, DFW North is actually in the airport's jurisdiction, but Grapevine all the way down to TNP. They also patrol around our transfer centers and all over our bus system. Our security blitzes, this is something we came up with when we saw, again, collecting data, analyzing the data, seeing where our hot spots were for assaults or loitering incidents, vandalisms. The Dennis Duncan's Transfer Center was a hot spot. La Grande Plaza, I say that for Annette because my East Texas usually comes out La Grande, so I can roll my R's too, Annette. So. She wasn't sure when I mentioned La Grande Plaza, she wasn't sure what I was talking about. I can show you a couple of results of these blitzes that we did earlier this year, and we're continuing to do these. I'm not going to post the location so the bad guys don't know when we're going to hit them or where we're going to hit them, but I can give you some results of the things we did in the past. As you can see, before our first blitz was what's October 25th, so the beginning of this fiscal year. At the Dennis Duncan Transfer Center, we had 15 operator incident reports and 6 of the CSA app reports. We did a blitz, and that reduced dramatically. When the police presence was removed after December 5th, all the way to March 31st, you can see the effect that it had on that area. We still did not see a return to the frequency of incident reports after that. And then you can see we came back and in April, and it dropped again. So that's been a very successful program for us. And again, it's all has to do with gathering the data and the reports and acting on that data. Here's some of the incident types that we saw during the before and after the blitzes. As you can see, that's pretty encouraging progress that we've made. So again, a shout out to Kevin and his team. They've done a great job. Again, like I said, we do a lot with a little here, and we want to make sure that our employees and our passengers know that security and safety is the #1 priority for us. And with that, I would love to take any questions that you may have.
Any questions of the board? John?
Michelle, on this previous slide, what constitutes a disturbance?
So I may let Kevin come up and give me the definition of that, but I can also tell you that the uptick in incidents also have to do with in 2023, the FTA redefined what an assault is.
Okay.
Where previously to that, it had to be a physical assault. That's what classified a reportable assault.
Okay.
But now that includes verbal as well. If you are threatened verbally without any physical contact, that still goes down as an assault. So we do see an uptick from that.
Okay.
Kevin, can you tell the kind folks
Sure.
what a disturbance?
Disturbance is basically a catch-all in terms of incidents or
Okay.
incident reporting. It could be anything between passengers or operator passenger. And it could be an argument, or it could be anything along those lines.
Okay.
And so it's basically a catch-all.
Oh, that's what I was trying to verify, whether it was just between one of our employees, but it could be anything. Okay, that's fine. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Thanks, Kevin.
I do have a question. How many officers do we have on staff?
For Allied,
In terms of off-duty police officers, we have a pool of about 58 officers that are scheduled to work our bus and rail modes. And as far as Allied goes, we have about 22 full-time security officers.
Is that, compared to years past, is that kind of like what we've maintained, or has there been more or less in the past?
In the past, there's been less. We've been able to successfully negotiate increases in budgets that can afford the opportunities to increase the staffing as well.
Yeah, it's a quagmire sometimes, John, where the city of Fort Worth has a large amount of responsibility in our service area. We kind of do whatever we can, but it's a matter of dollars and cents, where how much are they going to contribute, what are we required to do, and it's a negotiation. And I think the cities, by and large, very seldom put in the kind of necessary help. They try, but they're hamstrung too with their budgets. But I think we're doing a better job and have been over the last few years with the number of police officers we have. Rich, you have?
I would add that in our conversations with the previous chief, Chief Noakes, that we made quite a bit of progress in making sure that the open assignments on our system were being filled. So for example, we made adjustments in the hourly rates. Greg Jordan supported us in that as our CFO. So we were able to allocate additional resources to fill more of the jobs. And so if you could speak to just the success we've been having in that area.
Yeah, so we work very closely with Sergeant Williams. He's our liaison with the police department. And when we're seeing a decrease in coverage from the police force, we were able to work with him and, again, benefiting from that positive relationship we have, get the word out to the officers to get the signups and coverage up. It's a competition, right? We go up against Dickey's, we go up against West 7th. There's a lot of different places out there that we're competing for these officers' time and presence with. And again, a big shout out to the finance department and working with us to make it more attractive. And I will say, we've heard one of the benefits for working with Trinity Metro is they know what to expect. They know they're going to get paid on time. They know the assignment. It's a comfortable working environment for them. Yeah, they got to put up with some things, but that's everywhere these days, right? Like I mentioned, the post-COVID world we live in. So again, we're able to offer them a lot of benefits that other places don't, even though the pay may not be exactly the same.
It seems like our coverage has been pretty adequate for daily issues that are happening, but in light of the soccer games, the FIFA games that are coming, would it be appropriate to surge some protection to prepare for that?
I think that's going to happen.
Well, when we go back to the competition comment, where the local police forces, no matter what municipality you're talking about, are going to be stretched thin during World Cup. We've engaged with everyone we can to this point, whether it be the city, the county, the feds, on where we're going to need additional security presence, because we know we will, right? We're going to need an uptick in that. So we're trying to get first in line, or as far in front of the line as we can, so that we can make sure that what we have is covered the way we need it to be. But yeah, the local police forces are already looking to Parker County, Johnson County to put MOUs in place to bring in additional help during the games. So everybody's aware of what kind of strain this is going to put on our public servants. So.
Good questions. Thank you, Reed.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions? Okay.
One last question. Sorry. What does the asterisk indicate under physical assault, the last column?
I didn't want to bring that up, but that was actually escalated by one of our employees.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So that was an operator assault?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, it's a. I'll take that topic. So, no, not at all. Not at all. De-escalation is an art, right? We all take pride in our jobs at Trinity Metro, and if you're an operator on a bus and a customer does not treat you with respect or doesn't pay the fare, you can see how that would rub someone who takes pride in their job the wrong way. And so one of the challenges that we have, and we're working with our team, is to help them take the air out of the argument, just let it go, because no argument is worth someone's safety. And so one of the rules about de-escalation is not that you have to let go of the issue, it's report the issue and let the professionals who deal with that kind of issue every day assist. And so we have the first level of support is always the road supervisors who are out on the road, the Trinity Metro road supervisors who can respond to a bus, an incident occurring on a bus. If we see repeat behaviors by an individual, we have the ability to criminally trespass them from the property, and we do that selectively, but we do that. And then if there's a recurring issue with an individual, we can work with the police department to have undercover officers or officers in uniform respond and address. So there's different levels of intervention that we can employ, but first and foremost, we want the employees to be safe. So that's why there's an asterisk there. We're working on those challenges. I don't fault them. I know if I were in that operator's seat, I would feel a sense of pride and ownership, and so it's not a surprise when not every employee feels like they can let it go. But that's the challenge going forward for us.
Yep.
Anything you want to add to that, Reed?
No, it's control what you can control, right? So it's easier said than done, but that's what the enhanced de-escalation training is all about, is trying to enforce. We don't want those self-inflicted reportables, but we're trying to teach our employees, you know, if an event happens, your response to that event can determine the outcome.
Thanks, Reed.
Thank you.
All right, Kelly? Are you back? Oh, no, you're, oh.
I'm not Kelly. Good afternoon. My name is Christina Champion. I'm the Senior Director of Human Resources. I get the pleasure to talk about our mentor program. Our mentorship program just completed another successful year. We've been using David Cottrell's Monday Morning Leadership as our foundation, and it continues to help our emerging leaders develop essential skills through bi-weekly lessons and real-world applications. One of the highlights of the program, and the one the mentees enjoy the most, is the interviews our mentees have with a member of the board. These interactions give our mentees invaluable perspectives on leadership while creating meaningful connections with board members. So we greatly appreciate y'all's continued support of this great program. We are excited to introduce this year's accomplished mentee cohort. Due to scheduling issues, I see not everybody was able to make it, but as I call your name, please stand up, and at the end, we would love to get a picture with the board. Toshiba Johnson, mentored by Greg Jordan. Shinda Greer, mentored by Eva Williams. Christina Ware, mentored by Deidre Whitmore. Lonnie Davis, mentored by Jeff Brown. Tamara Walls, mentored by Aya Ely. And lastly, King Crosby, mentored by our former COO, Wayne Gensler, and Alicia Walker. Thank you.
Okay, let's do the photo.
Picture now.
Yep. If you all could come up for your photo. To the center. Just the top photo.
Well, we're already past that. You want to talk? I don't know. We just saw that he was over there.
Okay. Well, Deidre, people and culture, that'd be interesting.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, I'm just going to kick it off before I hand it to Deidre, because last month, towards the end of the meeting, Board Member Ben Robertson had asked about our DE&I programs. And we punted at the time responding, not because there was any drama behind that question. It's just that we actually don't have a DE&I program at Trinity Metro. So what Ben ended up doing after the meeting is did reach out to me to clarify that he was asking for an update on our People and Culture program, which is really about recognizing and developing our employees. Ben, did I leave anything out of that?
No, I appreciate it. You did a great job recapping. It is my fault for being around too many agencies that I forgot the name of one of the best programs in the town. So, Deidre, I look forward to your report today, and I apologize for misnaming an amazing team and group underneath us.
No, you're fine. Thank you so much, and thank you, Rich. Good afternoon, board members. I'm Deidre Whitmore, Vice President of Community Engagement and Customer Service. I also serve as the People and Culture Officer here at Trinity Metro. And Ben, I'd like to take a moment to respond to your thoughtful question regarding Trinity Metro's efforts around diversity, equity, and inclusion. And thank you for bringing this topic forward. So while Trinity Metro, as Rich said, does not currently have a DE&I program, our commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion is embedded in our people and culture approach. We prioritize how we show up, both internally and externally, by fostering community representation. These values are not treated as standalone initiatives. They are woven into the fabric of how we operate across all levels of our organization. So we focus on 4 efforts in the key areas: hiring and recruitment. We are intentional about attracting diverse talent through inclusive job postings and targeted outreach, participation in local career fairs such as the upcoming Fort Worth Area Job Fair and Transit Connections event on October 1st. And Mike, this may be a good place for Grapevine CVB to join us. It will be at Texas Wesleyan. And so this is how we can get a broader group of people to apply for our positions. We also foster a welcoming and inclusive workplace around fairness, open communication, and mutual respect. Our goal is to be an employer of choice, a place where people are proud to work, feel supported in their growth, and see their values represented in our mission. Our leadership team does a great job. We regularly meet with our new employees over lunch during onboarding, creating that inclusive connection and also reinforcing our culture. And as you heard from our Senior Director of Human Resources, Christina, the mentoring program continues to build meaningful relationships and support professional growth across the organization. So moving on to community engagement. Trinity Metro's leadership staff, we actively are involved in a wide range of community events, including Storytime Train, which was a big hit, Leadership Fort Worth. We participate on neighborhood association boards and meetings. We're on community boards as well. We participate in community events such as the Juneteenth celebrations and the MLK Day parades. And most recently, our Bus Stop Cleanup Day, which was this past Saturday, where we brought nearly 200 volunteers, which is one of our largest community events. Going into the third part is internal culture and recognition. We celebrate our employees and foster culture where everyone feels seen, heard, and valued. These efforts are part of our broader commitment to becoming the employer of choice, where people thrive, contribute meaningfully, and stay engaged. Programs like our Wow Moment Employer of the Month, Community Classroom Connections, and the Route Monitoring Committee, along with other employee-led initiatives, demonstrate our collaborative and inclusive spirit here at Trinity Metro. The successful launches of our Orange and Blue lines are testaments of how power of cross-departmental teamwork and community-centered innovation works. So this doesn't just stop at the doors of Trinity Metro. We're out in the community. So the customer experience, our commitment to inclusion extends to the people we serve, our riders and visitors. We implement programs that directly benefit our communities, such as our partnership with Tarrant County College, and mostly with Fort Worth ISD. Accessibility is a priority for us, so all of our transit vehicles are ADA accessible. And when it comes to multilingual supports, we ensure we can effectively communicate with our customers whose first language may not be English. So we talk about all this, so why does all this matter? Perception shapes trust. Our community wants to see themselves reflected in our people, our leadership, and our services. Number 2, it drives engagement and innovation. Initiatives like Storytime Train and Community Classroom Connections are examples of inclusive, community-focused programming that resonate with our riders and our stakeholders. And lastly, it aligns with our core values. Integrity, fairness, and transparency are not just internal principles, right? They guide how we serve the public every day. So while we may not have a formal D&I program, our actions reflect a deep and ongoing commitment to building a culture where everyone, employees, customers, and community members feel respected, represented, and empowered. As we continue this work, we remain focused on becoming the employer of choice. I know I keep saying that, right? I want everybody to work here. And employer of choice in our region and in our industry. So, board members, we truly appreciate your support. We appreciate you coming to all of our events, that when we put it on your calendar, you show up. So we'd love to continue to have this relationship. So thank you very much. And I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Questions, thoughts, comments?
I do have a comment. So I also wanted to mention that one of the things that really stands out to me is how we work so closely with the paratransit customers, and we have representation from different organizations throughout the county, throughout the city, to participate and to offer their feedback on how the transit service, the paratransit services are helping our customers. And so I just want to give a shout out to that and highlight that, because that's so important. And we've seen how it's just evolved and it's growing. And the last meeting that we had, people could not say enough about the services that we're providing and how impactful and it's life-changing, the services that we're providing. So I wanted to make mention of that as how we're really looking at everyone and being more inclusive and providing accessibility.
Thank you. We have an awesome team.
Yes.
We really do.
Also, you didn't mention it, but I can personally attest to the Envoy's presence at community events like Sonitas de Summer in Marine Park. I was able to introduce them to multiple local community members there that had just didn't understand all the new things that we have available via our system, and or the old things that they never knew existed. And so I'm continually impressed and inspired by the entire Envoy team. I might be a little biased amongst all the departments at Trinity Metro, having spent a day with the Envoys, but everybody that meets them walks away smiling, happy, and with new knowledge. And that's a testament to your team as well. And I'm excited that they exist.
Thank you so much. We aim to please.
Yeah, you bet.
You know, one of the clearest ways this shows up for us is in our ability to recruit top talent. And, I've been here 3 years, and we've had some really important job postings. And the ability to draw and get a great pool of top-tier talent is a direct relation to the quality of the organization and the reputation that we have. And so that, I got to tell you, we've been very choosy about who we bring into the organization, and that's a result of having an environment that people do feel like they can actually build a career here, that their voice will be heard, that they're contributing. I'm not going to single anyone out in this room, but many of you are here. I think were equally choosy in terms of your decision on where to work, and you chose to come to Trinity Metro. So the people and culture thing is not, again, I think you said it best, it's not a program. It's just baked into the way we do business.
Absolutely.
Go, Rick.
Thank you.
Okay, a little longer if you'd like on the budget, Greg, so help us out.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. My name is Greg Jordan, Chief Financial Officer. I'm here before you today seeking approval of the FY26 budget. We began the conversation in May at the board retreat, and then we came back in June for delivery of the preliminary budget, which was a deep dive into the annual operating budget and operating capital. And it was designed to show how all of the different functions of the agency rely on one another. And so like sort of activities were bunched. So safety and security were bunched together, bus ops and supporting functions were bunched together. From that discussion, we acknowledged that there were a few things that were still outstanding. We were still working on refining the sales tax numbers as well as some of the capital. We came back in the August presentation, updated the board again with the proposed budget, and reconciled the differences between the preliminary and the proposed. Just a summary of where we are, the revenues are conservatively budgeted with a 2.1% increase. The majority of our revenues come from sales tax, that's 59%. We have 27%, which is the second largest revenue source, coming from federal grants, for a total revenue budget of $229 million. On the expenditure side, excluding financing costs and capital expenses, we see about a 4.6% growth on that. The total expenditure budget is $222.3 million. And so with that, I'll answer any questions the board may have. And once again, we're just seeking approval for the FY26 adopted budget.
Comments or questions on the budget? This has been a process.
Did we miss out on some grants, or did we just not go for them?
Well, in the current year, we had some operating grants that were from prior years, so we made a push to get caught up with some of these, so you'll see some substantial decreases there. And then on the capital side, that sort of ebbs and flows with the different activity, right? And we are going to come back next month to do a deep dive with the cash flow for the Texarkana project as well as the TRE project. I think I would also be remiss if I didn't point out that on the safety and security side, we had an additional $1.6 million budgeted. Of that, $500,000 was for TRE camera replacement, and then another $1.1 million was for barrier safety doors on the buses. And those provide a very, very strong barrier between the operators and the riders. So about 1.6 for additional safety and security items there too.
Does DART know that they're going to have to come up with a check when the Silver Line opens?
Yes, sir, they do. And they'd start that service, I believe, on October 25th, if I'm not mistaken. And we will send that invoice on the following Monday.
Day.
Yeah, okay. Exactly.
Just want to make sure.
And for the board, that's a $6 million check that comes back to Trinity Metro for the Silver Line entering service into DFW Airport.
Essentially, we spent a lot of money getting into the airport, and they're reimbursing us for the work which we did. A lot of work. We spent about $80 million total getting into the airport. Just that dirt work alone was monumental. So
yes, sir.
It's a small but important reimbursement. Any other questions about the budget? Okay, I'll accept a motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the budget. BA 2025-43. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Greg. We have a number of consent action items. You are more than free to withdraw that from the consent agenda. Happy to do that, and we can have a discussion on it. If you would not like to chat about it and just vote on it as a consent action item, I'd accept that motion then too.
Motion to approve the consent action items.
Second.
Motion is second to consent action items. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries unanimously. All right. President's report. Rich, you've been busy.
We're moving through the agenda nicely, aren't we,
we are.
Mr. Chairman? I'm going to start by introducing our newest leadership team member, Ted Zimmerman. Ted, raise your hand. Ted, yes. We talk about being choosy with who we hire here at Trinity Metro, and we are very fortunate to have Ted join us. Ted is our Vice President of Marketing, comes to us from the Bi-State Development Corporation in St. Louis, Missouri, has had extensive experience in visitor and convention business, the Gateway, being associated with the Gateway Arch, previously worked with the Walt Disney Company. Ted, we're really happy that you said yes to Trinity Metro and glad to have you here. Thank you. Yeah. So, Mr. Chairman, yesterday was it yesterday? No, it was 2 days ago now. Bus Stop Cleanup Day 2025. So every year, Trinity Metro turns out for our community, led by Deetra Whitmore and Lenora Kimbrough. Lenora, are you in the room? No, usually Lenora's here. With about 200 volunteers, we fanned out across Fort Worth to beautify our bus stops, and we didn't limit ourselves to trash removal, but mowed, weeded, power washed our way across hundreds of stops. Thank you, Board Member Ben Robertson, for showing your support. We appreciated you being there. And Bus Stop Cleanup Day is just yet another way Trinity Metro is showing up for our community. A few weeks ago, I had an opportunity to represent Trinity Metro in a number of meetings on Capitol Hill. I joined another industry CEO from Northern Indiana to meet with the Senate Banking, Housing, and Urban Affairs Committee, Senate Commerce, Science, and Transportation Committee, chaired by Senator Cruz, and also met with the Chief Counsel for the Federal Transit Administration. I was able to share two priorities for pending federal transportation reauthorization. As you may know, reauthorization is picking up momentum with the Congress, and we expect Congress will be taking that bill under serious consideration early next year. I highlighted our desire to see the CRISI program, it's called CRISI, it's an acronym, which right now funds Amtrak and freight rail projects to also include commuter rail like TexRail. I spoke about changes to the rail excess liability requirements. Current federal law requires coverage to be placed only 30 days notice. So every 5 years, what happens is the Secretary of Transportation reevaluates proper liability limits, and then agencies, there's 31 of us in the country, have to go out and place that coverage in the market. And that's rather challenging because those limits are expected to increase to over $400 million in the coming year. And so we have asked the committee staff to consider a longer period to place coverage once we're notified by the U.S. DOT Secretary. And then last week, a number of us traveled to Boston on the leadership team. And we were there, yes, to learn, but also to represent. And so I'm really proud of the fact that our delegation of team members were in the room representing Trinity Metro and Fort Worth in a number of capacities. First, Kelly Shields graduated from the Leadership APTA program. That's a prestigious national leadership. Yeah, round of applause for Kelly. Kelly is probably watching from home right now. She's not feeling well today and couldn't be here. But hope Kelly feels better in a hurry. But Kelly went through that program, and it is a top tier. When I say top tier, it really is our industry's premier leadership program. She had an opportunity to present a panel discussion, which was a standing room only. Picture these large conference rooms at these large venues, not a seat to be had. And we're really proud of Kelly and all that she's accomplished. Annette Landeros, our Chief Strategy Officer, presented twice. Here's the thing. This is Annette's first conference, national conference, and she was asked to present twice, once on a panel with other colleagues, but also, importantly, the APTA Innovation Summit. The ballroom held well over 1,000 people, probably more, and Annette was on the big stage in front of that room presenting about Storytime Train. And the industry newsletter also covered in great detail Storytime Train as well. So congratulations, Annette. Tara Crawford, our Vice President of Planning. Tara, raise your hand. Yep. Delivered an exceptional presentation on transit reliability. Again, a really well-attended session, a phenomenal presentation with lots of questions and engagement. Eva Williams joined us as well. Eva's in the other leadership program targeted at emerging leaders. Eva, thank you for all you are doing to connect and engage. We had Christine Black, Chief of Staff, connecting with fellow board administrators in the industry. And I was, and Reed Lanham. Reed, you were there? Where's Reed? We had an opportunity to tour the Amtrak Acela high-speed train set. The new Acela train sets were designed to operate at 186 miles an hour. They were something to be seen. We were able to get a sort of an in-depth look at those train sets which will be rolling out over the next few months, those are the same train sets that would operate here in Texas at some point, if and when we decide we're going to build a high-speed system. So really interesting, impressive. Just to put that into context, that's like going from here to Austin, right, in a little more than an hour. Yeah, that would be a game changer for sure. And then we heard from the new FTA, Federal Transit Administrator, Mark Molinaro. He asked that we call him Mark, just Mark. He doesn't want to be called administrator. What he talked about was a couple of things. He talked about security and the need to make sure our transit systems are safe, clean, and reliable. But he also talked about the economic benefits of transit and rail. And he very much will be playing a significant role in the coming year in terms of setting the priorities for the nation on where Congress, advising and working with Congress on what programs will be funded in the new surface transportation bill. I had a chance to speak with him briefly and invited him to come here to Fort Worth, and he said to me, yes, we're overdue for a Texas visit, so stay tuned for more on that. And with that?
Told him about the $25 million we need?
Yeah, it was one of those on stage, backstage conversations, so yeah, more to come.
So he cut a check when we were there.
It's all about relationships. Relationships are everything. Okay, I'm going to just briefly lead into Greg's presentation on economic development. I've said many times before that I think transit is the answer to everything that a community needs. And when I say that, people roll their eyes. I roll my eyes. But it's true. You can build workforce housing where you have workers that won't have to have a car. You can not have the congestion that's increasing daily in our region because we keep building more roads. You can prevent the 45,000 deaths that occur every year in the United States from accidents, and that doesn't include the cost of the non-death accident. Shape your cities. Michael Morris, as I mentioned, is going apoplectic about what he's going to do with 4 more million people in the North Texas region. Wow, you put them near your stations. You create this density, you create a sustainable tax base. And all the studies, and I'm a big fan of data, and anytime you can have data, and I've asked Arlington still probably 14 times about how much it costs to operate their dollar ride, and I've yet to get a response. All I want is their data. We know it's more expensive than a bus, so they need to be more forthright about their data. And one of the longer-term discussions that we've had, and I'm a little disappointed in the suburbs of Dallas, frankly, and we all understand that there's a push and pull to transit, who's getting what, who's being served, how much money you're putting in. But in the Ernst & Young 2024 report, they only looked at 2023 economic development numbers. It did not include 1 second of the opening of 2 stations in Plano for the new Silver Line. I think that was disingenuous, and the discussion itself needed to take a different turn. Is what does it look like overall for that region with this new Silver Line? If you take a look at that, and look, Rich has taught me to look at ChatGPT. I Googled it. I got a great answer back from ChatGPT, and it said if you took in today's money, the equivalent of opening those stations is $500 to $800 million currently. So I think the whole discussion is disingenuous because right after they did the study, they go to the state and try and get them to do something for them, and now they're trying to withdraw. When the reality is the economic development that's going to be derived from their station is going to be monumental, and I'm going to tell you they know it. So they need to be more open to the data that's available and more honest about how they're presenting it. And one other last thing I want to talk about, I do think transit's the answer to everything. But one thing we don't have any data about, we don't have any data about the cost of highways, about streets, about how much does it cost to build and operate and extend police and fire and water and sewer? Every time we build out to some place, it costs us more money. And there are streets in North Fort Worth many streets that before the bonds are paid off, to pay for the building of the street, it needs to be rebuilt, not just repaired, rebuilt. If we just take an honest look, and I'm open to looking at it, at the data of what it costs and how we can build more sustainable cities, I think in a good way, we've got an opportunity here. With our northeast Tarrant County cities, we have a great amount of congestion. It's a real opportunity to show how we can move people in a better way. So I'm really happy that we're having this presentation on economic development. Greg's the perfect guy to do it, so ask all your questions of Greg when he's done. All right, Greg.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Greg Jordan, Chief Financial Officer. The only thing I would amend to what the chair said was don't wait until I'm done talking. Interrupt me as we go. Let's have a conversation around this. You probably noticed we've changed the format of the agenda a little bit, so we've got consent, non-consent items, and then we've got sort of a balance of time for different conversations of different topics. This is sort of the first of that new presentation. So as I go through this, anything that I see that catches your attention, let's just jump into it and talk through it, because I am really looking for y'all's input on a few things. There are three primary things that I do want to talk to you about today. I want to talk to you about a position that we have posted for an economic development director. I want to tell you a little bit about the vision of that, who we partnered with and grabbed feedback from on it. I also want to talk to you about a TOD study that we're moving forward with. And I'm going to give you some maps there and give you some illustrations as to what we might be able to hopefully expect in the future. And then I want to talk to you about developing a subcommittee of the board to talk about TOD. Isaac, were you volunteering? Okay. I didn't know if you had a question already. I was going to. So these are the three primary things my conversation is going to center around with y'all today. So first of all, why, right? I mean, we've got a tremendous amount of opportunity. We've got a lot of assets. We've got a great example over to the east in Grapevine of what a really effective TOD can do at the Grapevine main station. And we've got a ton of opportunity in Fort Worth along the Texas rail lines as well as the TRE lines, extending into some other cities in North Richland Hills. And North Richland Hills is doing really great things too. I'm going to come back and talk a little bit more about some of the individual sites in the Grapevine property in a little bit. But we're going to look to this person to help, establish the guardrails through a policy for us. We've started working on a property portfolio binder. This person's going to help us complete that out. So this is going to be something that we'll use as a tool to identify all of our properties. It's going to have salient information around square footage of all of them, total acreage, everything from, our ownership to adjacent properties, and how we can see those properties really being maximized. Mr. Oakley, you said in the beginning that, creating density is critically important. You couldn't be more correct about that. One of the things that sets Grapevine apart from many of the other communities is Grapevine has a tremendous amount of density, its proximity to the airport, and the number of hotel rooms that it has. So it's a destination in and of itself. The TOD that was created there has really amplified that, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about some of the ongoing benefits that we're seeing out there. We're also looking to this person to help us identify surplus properties. So these are the non-strategic properties that we have in our portfolio. Many of these we're going to want to go ahead and divest ourselves of, right? And so we've got a couple right now that we've identified that we know we need to look to. There's a property in Arlington that we need to look to sell. There's also a piece in in Richland Hills where the former TRE station was. And so I've been having some conversations with their city manager about how we can co-market that and sell that property. But we're looking to the eco-dev person to help us with that. Some of these properties we might want to keep because we're going to feel that they do have long-term strategic value, right? So we're going to look at that. This person's also going to help us with the TOD study, which I'll jump into next. And then we're looking for this person to really partner with the other cities. Cities have economic development tools, and they're afforded to them by the state. We don't have that, but what we do is we have the ability to move people, move a lot of people, create density in different places. Those people are going to have money, they're going to spend money, they're going to create economic impact. We've also reached out to Fort Worth leadership. We've gotten Jay Choppa's input for the position. We also got Robert Allen's input for the position too with economic development. And so this is somebody that I anticipate they're going to reach out to the different cities, economic development departments, city management, and then we can start to coordinate some of these things. As we get more interest on some of our properties and developers reach out to us, then we'll be able to coordinate more effectively and more directly with the economic development staff of these different organizations. I'm going to look at my notes, make sure I didn't miss anything I should have said. I write it all down, but I don't ever look at it when I talk. So we've also got a couple really interesting parcels here just in our own, stone's throw. Fort Worth Central Station it's a great property for what it does, right? It serves the customers in a very effective manner, but it does lack that infrastructure that we need for the activation. In order to have something like Grapevine has at their main station, the site really should have been developed with more water, sewer, ventilation, greater level of electricity. So it doesn't really suit itself in its current configuration, but there's still opportunities, right? And so we want to work through these things with this person. We want their vision for what could we do in terms of business or facility remodeling. What sort of vertical opportunities could we have? We've had some exploratory conversations about could we build some sort of commercial retail or other structure above the bus bays, and we could maximize the vertical airspace over that. So again, a lot of these are just exploratory, but they're very interesting too. And there's a lot of opportunity. I mean, this, again, I find this just to be a very exciting opportunity for us with this and the study and then many of the other things we have in our future. We have an update that we're going to present to you later on a TMP, the ballroom and the tavern. It's not quite ready for prime time, but we've gotten some really good proposals in. We're very excited about where we are there. And so that's a conversation later for the board. So we've got a couple maps that I'm going to talk about, and I'm going to take my time on these so that you guys can ask any questions that you like, but I also want to give you a sense of the size of these. So between here and DFW North, we've got a lot of opportunity. And so I'm just going to start at the north side station. So I'm going to hold TMP and Central Station off to the side, but the north side station is our first. We've actually got two parcels over there. There's one that's a primary lot for ridership, and then there's another one that's slightly to the north. It's separate. It's a separate parcel, but overall, these two parcels total to about 3.45 acres. Why is that material? Well, the Grapevine Station is sitting on about 4 acres. And so just keep that in your mind when we go through this, and I'll tell you about the size of these. I'm going to go through this, in a pretty good clip. So the Mercantile Station next, we own 7.5 acres. That's a good size. Iron Horse, we've got 4.2. Smithfield, roughly about 7.25, and then Grapevine was the 4.6 acres. Now, that's not all ours. The Grapevine Station is a little bit different. That's the site of the entire development, including Peace Plaza, the station, the hotel, and then the parking garage. We do own 135 spaces in the parking garage. That's ours by contract. Moving beyond Grapevine, DFW North has a tremendous amount of space, but I think really for us to ever see development out there, we're going to have to see a revenue share agreement between the city of Grapevine and DFW Airport. So overall, there's about 27 developable acres up and down the Tex rail line. And, I just look at that and I see a tremendous amount of opportunity for increased economic activity. We've talked a lot in the past about the impact of the property values around the Grapevine Station, and we've used some other controls to sort of validate that. But overall, I mean, those properties within a half-mile radius of the station, they've appreciated about twice as fast as those properties outside of it. The economic activity within a quarter mile of the station has been absolutely outstanding. I oftentimes like to tell a story when I was with the city manager one time and we got a call. It was probably in late November, early December. And there was one of the downtown merchants and they said, I've got a problem. And the manager said, well, what can I do for you? And they said, well, I could hear them coming through a speaker. And they said, we have too many people in our store. And so the manager asked the obvious question of what? And he said, we have too many people in our store. The point is, this was right after TexRail started running. It was about the first year after, I think. After TexRail, after COVID, right? So the first real. And the impact that station had on the downtown business merchants has been just really, really tremendous. So much so that it's in some cases, like that phone call I was telling you about, it was a little too much business for some. So the success was really, really fantastic. I want to talk about the TRE line as well. So as I said, we're going to joint market the Richland Hills station or property with Richland Hills. That's about 6.1 acres. The Bell Station has 5.6 acres. Trinity Lakes, we just have the platform, but around there, it looks like there's about 80 developable acres. Some of that's going to include the water space too, so I don't know how that really nets out. But overall, there is a whole lot of opportunity for a lot of development, not only on the TexRail side, but also on the TRE side. But it doesn't just stop with commuter rail. The fixed route service has some real good opportunities also with some of the transfer stations. This is the Sierra Vista station. This is, some of it might be. We control about just shy of an acre there, but the remaining balance of that is about 5 acres. So now this is at the corner of Riverside and Eastbury. I-35 is running on the west, and then you see 287 in the upper right-hand corner. Additionally, so this is the South Park and Ride. This is down at Allsbury and 35. The green space to the east, that's Spinks Airport, so to give you a little bit of reference there. But this has a developable acreage of 4.9 acres. Trinity Metro, I'm sorry, that was my previous. This also is 4.9 acres. This is ours. This entire space in the gold box is ours. So there's an opportunity to use this, continue to use it for a Southern Park and Ride, but on the northern part of it, that could be anything, right? There's hotels over there. There's a lot of dining establishments over there. So there's a real good potential for some interesting development there. So,
real quick,
yes, sir.
Have we talked to the city of Fort Worth about their growth plans on Spinks? Because I know they just did a master plan for a lot of their airports, and there might be some partnership opportunity there too.
We have, to my knowledge, we haven't had any of those conversations yet. I haven't in my office, but that's something that I will put on the list for this individual to follow up on.
Planning on, I think the bulk of the investment's going to end up being at Meacham, but they have some big plans for Spinks too. So there could be let them spend some money and we'll just complement without us spending all the money.
I'd really like to do that. Yeah, why spend your own money when you can spend somebody else's, right?
I think it's worth at least a conversation.
I think it is too. Yeah, absolutely. Well, and we may find out too through the conversation that there's a need there that's been unmet by the surrounding businesses, right, that we might find something interesting. I mean, there's always an opportunity to be found. So again, look for this person to really develop strong relationships, right? This is working with development organizations, real estate groups, our local developers, adjacent property owners too, because we can get a lot of excitement drummed up there. We want somebody that's forward-looking, that's not only going to look for the things that we have, but the things that we're working on, right? We want to get into the medical district. We want to see some spectacular development out there. And then from there, we want to get out to the TCU area and down to Wedgwood. And eventually, hopefully, we can get something out to, get out to Tarleton. So, so somebody that's also future looking and somebody that can work with these economic development departments that understands the lingo, somebody that understands what TIFs and PIDs and 380s and all these other things that we talk about in local government, but they're kind of foreign to strangers. So we want somebody that really understands the lingo, that can get there and be aggressive, roll their sleeves up. So talk about the Grapevine Main approach. So when I was putting this together, it really dawned on me that, the D is for destination. And that's really kind of Grapevine's playbook. Grapevine leans into the destination theme for everything that they do, whether it's the new activities at the mall or the Grapevine main station right here. So it really was complementary to their broader economic development approach. The station itself blends in with the fabric of the historic Grapevine Main Street, and so you see a lot of these sort of architectural features and elements throughout the downtown Grapevine area. Local architect helped build that, and so it's really designed to look like an old building. And as a matter of fact, when I was out there, I met with a number of developers that would come in and say, hey, we pulled into this station. How old is that? Is that 100 years old? And we'd say, well, no, it's 2 years old, And but it really does meet the needs. It leans into the proximity of DFW. It adds to the hotel rooms of Grapevine. This is a 120-room boutique Autograph Marriott property. Since this has gone live, this opened in 2020. In 2025, in this last quarter, they're going to break ground for a new 120-room hotel, also owned by Quarry Properties, and it's also going to be another boutique property. So they're going to double the size of their rooms on the adjacent property to the east. That deal's been going through for a while. Formerly, it was a trailer park and a heavy machinery facility. So the development that continues to build from TOD, it's not just a one-time deal where you build it and then, hey, look, we got some new restaurants and this is all there is. There's a lot more to it. It's going to continue to build and build upon itself, and that's what we're trying to emphasize with other decision makers in the community. Well-funded Convention and Visitors Bureau. I don't know that a whole lot of people know this, but Grapevine CVB is the third or fourth largest in the state, and it's because of its funding mechanisms, the hotel occupancy tax coming off that 6,000 revenue, or 6,000 hotel rooms that they have kicking off that revenue. Now,
And the festivals.
And the festivals, yep, they do. Those festivals contribute a lot too. So, it's an aggressive economic development program out there, and the developments continue. Just on the south side of Dallas Road now, there's a whole bunch of brownstones that are selling for $1 million each. And so, really, really impressive development that continues to this day. So I'm going to change directions for a little bit, talk a little bit about the TOD study. This is a $500,000 study that we have. The italicized bullets are the grant requirements. So when we applied for this, it was really limited to the TexRail stations. As we've talked through it, that's really not going to be sufficient from our perspective, so we're going to add some agency dollars, some local dollars to this so that we can include all of the TexRail stations, even those outside of the Fort Worth zone. And it also is going to include all of the TRE stations as well as stations outside of Fort Worth. So we also wanted to include Sierra Vista in the South Park and Ride, as we showed in just a second ago. So this is something that hopefully we'll get this off the ground in the next month or two, I think. And then we're going to look to this economic development director to work this study in conjunction with the planning department. And so, and Tara's been very, very helpful in leading this effort thus far. So the third and final thing I want to talk to you all about is the TOD subcommittee. And as I said, I need you to kind of help me fill in the blanks on this. I've got one bullet on here, and and I'm hoping you can help me add to it. So we need a TOD policy to help us move the program forward, and then I'm going to leave the rest up to y'all.
So what I'd like to do is look forward to developing with staff a TOD policy, our official policy from Trinity Metro. And I would like to ask Ben to lead that initiative. And in terms of members of the subcommittee, we can be all members of the subcommittee if you choose, or we can have 3 or 4, or you can just let me or Ben know if you'd like to be on that subcommittee, because I don't think there needs to be a limit, because we're a small board anyway. But if you show an interest, you'll be on the committee. So just let Ben or let me know that you'd like to participate, be part of that TOD policymaking recommending body to the board as a whole.
I'd like to just chime in. I know I already told you that I'm absolutely ecstatic about accepting this position. I think everyone in this room is intelligent enough to know that transit-oriented developments are going to be our saving grace for the next round of millions of people as a new person moves to DFW every 3.5 minutes. And if Rich's summary earlier from the National APTA Conference states anything, is the nation is watching Trinity Metro. And so I want to continue that trajectory. I see this as chairing alongside some very brilliant board and leadership and staff teams. And I want to make a goal, if not next year, but the year after, of us leading a TOD discussion at an APTA conference, because we will continue to be the definitive leaders of all things transit in this nation. And so I'm super excited about this opportunity, and I thank you for giving it to me, Jeff.
Welcome, Ben. Any comments on the presentation or questions about TOD at this time? We've got the experts here. Okay.
Thank you for your time.
Great job. Thank you. We do need to go into executive session. We have a couple of items regarding a claim and a potential commercial property lease. So pretty briefly, I think the Board of Directors will convene in executive session under the Texas Open Meetings Act for the consultation with its attorney pursuant to Section 551.071, deliberation regarding real property pursuant to Section 551.072, deliberation regarding prospective gift pursuant to Section 551.073, deliberation regarding personnel matters pursuant to Section 551.074, deliberation regarding security devices pursuant to Section 551.076, and/or deliberations regarding economic development negotiations pursuant to Sections 551.087. And whoever's our governmental relations person, see if you can pass something which says I don't have to read that whole thing. Go into a closed session. So the general meeting is adjourned. We'll go into closed session. We are officially returning from closed session.
I thought you were hitting Bird with your bike. I'm like, that's a whole other.
We have no action items in closed session. We're opening up the original board meeting, and I'm adjourning the board meeting at this time. Thank you all for your attendance.